GTR against Hyde. Now I know Hyde is a Protoss player, so do you think GTR is probably going to play Terran again, or?
Well, I expect him to switch possibly to Zerg then. That seems a bit more suitable against Protoss.
So
But still,
basically,
I'm looking forward to see him play.
he just picks like the Imber matchups. Is what you think? So basically, he'll probably pick Terran against
That's
Zerg.
my guess, but I don't want to be mean to him, so
Yeah,
let's just see.
he'll probably pick Protoss against Terran, maybe, or maybe he'll pick. No, because Volon was playing Terran right against GTR. We'll just assume, and he said the GTR went random. So maybe he normally goes Protoss, but he just went random because he knows that Volon is like a scrub. Um,
Yes, we agreed on that he was
Hyde,
clearly trying to fend Fallon by going random.
Hyde saying that
No, there's no other explanation.
GTR actually played random against him. So GTR. I've watched GTR play. I think a Zerg versus Protoss and a Terran versus Protoss against Hyde on. It was one of those maps. Have you watched any SC2?
Not a lot.
Alright, there's a map in SC2 called Cloud Kingdom, I think, and someone remade that for Brood War. And then I watched Hyde and GTR play on an SC2 map in Brood War.
Was it fun?
Nah, yeah, it was alright. But we'll have to see how well
I'm
Hyde
sorry
can do.
that
Hopefully Hyde kind of has worked out some kind of sniping build, because they have played before, so he should have a good idea of how he plays and know at least partially how to deal with it.
I'm back now if you want to set the game.
Alright, I've hosted up the game.
What's it called?
Exactly the same as what it was always called.
Oh, I knew it. That's how that goes.
Alright.
I guess you guys have learned my secret weakness. The reason I was never a Brood War programmer is because I don't have the bladder for it.
You don't have what? The bladder
The
for
bladder for it.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Good joke. But
Wasn't just. Wow, that is sharp and cutting. I'm glad that you've been such a paragon of wit the entire night.
Alrighty, so now we've got that over the way. We'll get started in this game. GTR against Hyde. First game is going to be on Destination. I am Keontae with Sir Jolt and 538, and this is the Torenhire Starleague. If you want to get into introducing the players.
Okay, doke. Hyde is the red Protoss at 12 o'clock, and GTR is the orange Terra at the bottom.
Oh god. So
And also you can see that GTR was manning up and picking random and then letting Hyde know his race.
Which is very cool.
So he is playing random the proper way, which I appreciate. At the same time, we do know this game will definitely go for at least 35 minutes, simply because it is GTR playing Terran. We do know how that ends up. So probably Torenhire putting the GTR Terran replays all in a row to troll us, as he does. It is pretty much his job. I mean, Torenhire, he goes through the replays to like work out the order. I don't know how much he actually watches them. I mean, if it was me, I wouldn't watch any of the replays at all before, because it spoils it, right? Like, if you've already seen, you're like, yeah, this has happened, whatever. But anyway, and he does these things to try and just basically troll me. The first game, the first time he put like the really long shitty game as like the last game in the series after a really long cast, and we were just like just shitting all over it. And another time he put ZVZ last because he knows that I don't like ZVZ. Like that was his entire motivation. It was really depressing.
In his defense, that was a good DVZ.
Yeah, it was alright. It was ZVZ though, so there's only so much good that can be said for it.
Surely Australians say ZVZ.
Yeah, I use American Z for matchups. Because it's just easier to say. Because, Z takes like 2 bits of movements in the mouse, whereas Z is just Z. Z is like one movement, whereas Z is like in, out, in, sorry. Z. Like it's a second syllable almost.
Yanti, what can you tell us about Hyde's build?
He's making a gateway and a gas. I mean,
He's got a bunch of minerals.
well, he's not making zealots straight away, so I mean, you must be quite disappointed by 3-8.
Yes, this is clearly not the proper build for this map.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not making 5 zealots, I mean, you're not really doing it right. You made that pretty clear. And he is actually going core and pylon first, so there's a good chance we won't see zealots for at least 10 minutes in this game. How does that make you feel? Are you sad?
Me?
Yes.
Not really. I've seen enough. I've seen enough zealots, and you wouldn't believe how many zealots I've seen. So sure, let's just let them play their games, and I'm looking forward to what it comes to.
I am more than ready to suspend disbelief if you'd like to tell us the number. I mean, you said we wouldn't believe
No,
it.
I don't keep track, but it's much more than.
It would be easy to check. Just check
Much more than
the
5.
number
Okay.
of his cycle games and then multiply it by 5.
And
Yes, I should just check my auto replay folder and multiply it by 5. That seems accurate.
Perfect.
In fact, I can do it right now.
Alright, cool. So we are going to
You're
find out
testing.
approximately how many zealots 538 has seen in his own play. I guess we can also... Have you watched much Pro League? I assume you watch Pro League, right?
Yeah, sure I do.
Do you watch it regularly, or for how long?
Well, lately I'm not watching it as regularly as I used to,
Yeah, same.
since it's this mixed format. But
Yeah.
but back in the pure days, I watched it all the time.
Do you watch it... Like, so I assume you watched it since... for how long? Like, since what year?
Oh, like 2007.
Oh wow, okay, so that's 5 years. You probably would see at least like 400. Oh, let's say how many days? 365 days in a year. At least 300 Protoss games in that time, right? At least.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So 300 times 5, 1500. There'd be probably on average at least 5 zealots per game when you include all the random cheese and then other games
I'm
where
curious.
maybe
And
10 zealots.
Can either of you answer this?
Make it 20, sure.
He's gone for spider mines, but he's only building tanks. Is that normal? Like, he doesn't
It's a
have
strong
super together, I think.
FD. What he's doing here,
Oh.
he gets a second tank out and comes with that and then rallies vultures behind it and uses the mines to essentially, uses the tanks to attack along with the marines, and he tries to get the mines around behind the goons, and essentially he wants to kill this expansion contained with mines so that Hyde can't move out of his base until whatchamacallits are up. Observers, and that's going to be a long time because there's no robo. Like, he's going 3 gateways. So if Hyde can't get rid of all these marines ASAP, he's just going to die, actually.
I think he's just gonna die. I don't think he'd be even entering into it is the main
And yeah,
question.
you see GTR is actually expanding here, so... I mean, if he doesn't kill this expansion, he's significantly economically behind, but... I don't see that
Doesn't
happening.
look like it.
Yeah. And the tough thing about this as a Protoss is that, I mean, the Terran's still expanding, and sometimes you may not even know that. You may just think it's like a 2-fac, but it's not. And GTR's just going. I mean, Hyde's just going. He's bringing his probes, and manages to get rid of the mines before they go off, but I don't think he has enough. Siege mode is done, and the goons are falling.
No,
Oh man. Yeah, he is so fucked.
and even worse, he's just had that dude in the back was just not engaging for so long.
Yeah. So now, I mean, he's back on 1 base against the 2 base of GTR, and I mean, technically he should be able to hold on the top of his ramp, and GTR should know that, but I mean, it's unfortunate for us as the viewers, because it means that this game is probably going to go on for a lot longer than it should, because at this point, I mean, Hyde is fucked. I mean, he doesn't have observers, so even if he busts this contain, he can't actually go across the map for another like 3 or 4 minutes, because the robo is not even half done. So,
He's in rough shape.
and then by the time that happens, GTR is going to have like 5 factories going on 2 bases against the 3 gates and no second base of Hyde. So yeah, he's in a really tough position here.
Yeah, and like I'm not even sure what the right response is. Like, I suppose lose the game is probably the right response. But
Yeah.
like, he's just building the bunker here.
So yeah, he's going for the contain, and he does actually smartly have a Marine scouting the back, which I was going to say, you know, Hyde has the option of getting his observers, mining out the back, and then walking out behind the contain, and going straight for the main, and that can be potentially deadly, especially if the Terran's not really expecting it, but, you know, GTR, of all things, even if he is a little bit boring, he's definitely really thorough, and having the Marine there to scout just shows, you know, how experienced the player is. I mean, GTR's been around for a long time, and he's probably played a lot more games on Destination than I have, and you know, he probably knows
played more
all.
games on Destination. Wait a minute, is 538 still multiplying out the number of zealots he has?
I think so. Have you?
Like,
Oh no, I actually stopped counting because I realized I switched computers not that recently, so I only have like 500 games in my replay folder, and that's 2,500 is clearly not what I've seen.
Yeah, I was gonna
So,
say. I mean, we know
I
there's
think
at least
Keontae's calculations about 300
300 games per year.
300 games per year. That seems fine.
And we'll say so 1,500 games is 5 years, and then let's say 10 zealots per game on average.
Sure.
Because like in PvP, there won't be that many zealots in a standard game, but like there'll be cheese games where it's just zealots, especially in 2007. Like a lot of 2-gate versus 2-gate bullshit would have had, you know, in excess of like 100 zealots per game, you know. So
Yeah, I think you're pretty safe with
so,
a
yeah,
10 per
we'll say
game
10.
estimate.
So that's 15,000 zealots straight up just from watching professional games on streams.
Yes,
So-
and then you can double that with my own games.
Yeah. Okay. So
GTR is floating the eBay up to site up the ramp, but all of the goons have already backed off. It's just, I'm not sure where the activity would come from in this game.
well, even though GTR was scouting that back middle, it didn't account for the fact that Hyde could just make a shuttle and
And his Reaver as
walk
well.
out. But Hyde's being risky here. He doesn't have an observer here with his army. So if there were mines in the way, he could potentially just fucked himself and just like run into mines and died. But I mean, it's not happening now. Lucky for him. And he does have a Reaver with this attack as well, so it's going to be quite difficult for GTR to deal with. He only has one tank, a few Goliaths, and a couple of Vultures at home. And in comes Hyde's stuff. He really wants to get this tank, but there are SCVs, and he needs to get the Vulture attacking those SCVs ASAP, because SCVs are fucking good against goons. Like, they are just good against goons.
And the Reaver isn't fighting.
So it's all going to be down to micro here. There's only 2 units up the top. If Hyde just goes right now, drops that
With the Reaver.
that Reaver down, and
That's
manages
best.
to kill the tank, but oh no!
Oh, the SCV's here. And my god. Is that
Fantastic
Charon
work.
boosters?
It looks like it. He just needs to drop the Reaver directly on top of the tank, but it may be too late. 2 more tanks come out. If GTR positions these well, he'll be completely fine. The goons try to run up the ramp, but we know how goons deal with ramps. The Reaver dies in the shuttle, and GG comes out from Hyde. It was a valiant attempt, a nice strategy there, I thought.
Yeah, no, it was elegant. Certainly the elevator.
But unfortunately, it didn't work out for him, and GTR goes 1-0 up, looking really strong. Despite kind of a little bit shaky at the end, but he kept his own contain going well, and he put Hyde in a position where he had to make that attack work. And all credit to